to another edition of our History at Home series. We're going to be taking you through the museum and bringing the museum to you since you can't come to the museum right now until all this passes. But we look forward to seeing everybody back here at the museum once this crisis passes and we can all celebrate studying Mobile's history together once again. Today we're going to be taking you through the Rutherford Carriage Gallery. Dr. Charles Rutherford was a physician here in Mobile, and when he wasn't busy physicianing, his hobby was collecting and restoring these antique carriages. Now, main thing I like to do with this gallery is showcase that we all don't have the same vehicle. Everybody has different vehicle kind of based upon their needs. So somebody young just starting out, doesn't need to haul a lot of stuff. A lot of people are going to have something small to get them around town. If you're the type of person who decides to have 3 kids in 4 years, you're going to need something a little bigger that can carry around more people, more stuff. Carriages were the exact same way. Different carriages for different needs. So we're going to look through these, starting with the Victorian carriage. Today, you want to arrive, show up in style, let everybody know you have made it. You call a limo, or if you're really classy, you get a town car to come pick you up, drop you off. Well, 150 years ago, they didn't have those. What they had were the Victorian carriages. These were the high end of luxury. You can see in the silver and pewter ornamentation, the gilded paint along the carriage, the high-end upholstery, even the decorations and the glasswork on the headlamp itself. These carriages were the peak of luxury for its day. If we want to go off-roading, if we want to drive around on some less developed terrain, we're going to get an ATV or a 4x4. Well, they had the huntsman's carriages for that. These were designed to take hunters into the woods. You can see they're raised up higher and have more intricate suspensions to be able to deal with the small shrubs, the tall grasses, the less developed trails, and so they could go into the woods. Your hansom cab served as your taxi or your Uber of its day. Now, this was a doctor's buggy. And a lot of people, when they think ambulance, but it wasn't like an ambulance. Clearly, there's no room to carry a patient. What this was like, 150 years ago, if you were sick and needed to see a doctor, instead of making you go to a room with a whole bunch of other sick people to wait to get into a room a sick person just came out of, the doctor would come to you. Now, in cases of emergency, he or she would need to get there more quickly. So the doctor's buggies were designed to be more streamlined, to be lighter, more maneuverable. The closest equivalent today would be like a police car, how they're designed with different suspensions, bigger engines to be more maneuverable, be able to travel faster. These were emergency vehicles for the day. We have your stagecoach, kind of your small bus, 15-passenger van, or if you go to Best Buy and buy a fridge, they bring that small little moving truck to your house. This would have been its equivalent today. Your Irish gig, this would have been your economy car. Gets you around town, point A to point B, doesn't have a whole lot of room to carry stuff, not even room for a separate driver. This would just get you around town. Today, our postal carriers have special trucks designed to help them deliver the mail. They had buggies specifically designed for mail carriers to help them deliver the mail. If English 2-seater sports cars are your thing today, well, this would have been your ride back in the day. And then people look at this one and think kind of a homemade cart, but this actually served a specific purpose. This is a Kentucky breaking cart. Horses aren't born with the ability to pull carriages. You got to train them to do it, and that training process is called breaking. So this is the type of carriage they would use to get the horse used to the bit and the bridle, wearing all the leather strapping, having the harness and the carriage attached to them. So you can kind of think of this like a driver's ed car. I wanted to take a second to talk to you a little more in detail about one item in particular, and I'm going to tell y'all straight up, this is my favorite story in the whole museum. This is a goat cart. Anybody want to take a guess as to why it was called the goat cart? No, goats didn't ride in it. It was pulled by goats. Now, y'all, clearly when you look at this cart isn't made for grown folks. It's made for kids. But it's not a toy. It's not like a Power Wheels today. These were used by kids who had jobs. Now, we live in a society and a time where we recognize the importance of protecting children while they acquire the skills to one day become productive members of society. Well, 100, 150 years ago, that's not really how it worked. If the child had the ability to generate an income for its family, well, then that child had a job. And this cart is a perfect example of that. And like I told you earlier, I have 3 kids at home, and this story terrifies me every time I tell it. This cart belonged to a little boy named Georgie. Georgie was 4.5 years old, and Georgie had a job. His grandfather was a blacksmith here in the Southern Market, and Georgie's job was to take his cart to the butcher vendors here at the Southern Market, and the butchers would give Georgie their dull, worn-out knives. Load them in his cart, Georgie take them back to his grandfather. His grandfather would then sharpen the knives to razor-honed edges. Load the knives back into Georgie's cart. And Georgie would take his cart, pulled by goats, full of razor-sharp knives. And y'all, they didn't have goat cart lanes, okay? So he was tooling around on the same streets as the other big carriages pulled by horses, and his little cart pulled by goats filled with razor-sharp knives. He would deliver them back to the butchers and then go back to his grandfather. Y'all, like I said, I've got the 3 kids at home. I don't let them use scissors unless I'm standing right over their shoulders, because I like having 3 kids with 6 eyes. This just goes to show you the difference in time between now and then and the role children play in our society. We want to thank you for being with us, and hope everybody takes care, stays safe. And again, we look forward to seeing you back here at the History Museum Mobile when all this is over. Thank you.